If you're a pharmacist or a medical professional and you want a prescription for financial health, wellness, sanity, and success, I think you're going to love this episode with Rich Galzarano. Hope you enjoy it. Welcome to the Retirement Mentor Podcast, where we're going to be interviewing the best retirement mentors of our time. My name's Terrence McMahon. I spent 25 years as a financial professional, and I wanted to create a forum for those experts to be interviewed. Hey, welcome to the Retirement Mentor, where we connect the great retirement mentors with common problems that people have. And today we have Rich Galzarano, and he is an expert in helping pharmacists and other medical professionals kind of establish their own prescription for financial wellness. And, talking earlier with you, thanks for joining us, Rich.
You're welcome.
So tell me a little bit about how you came to not only be a financial advisor. I think it's interesting. How did you specifically decide to start working with pharmacists?
Well, I think that you, through your first few years in the business, you work with a lot of different types of clients, and you really find out based on personality types who you really mesh well with. Mm-hmm. And, I felt like some of my best clients were in the medical profession. I just felt like we created the strongest bonds. And so I ultimately decided this was a market that I really wanted to become a specialist in.
So how has their lives changed in the last 6 months? Everyone's lives changed. How are the pharmacists' lives changed? I mean, I know they're essential workers, but how's their life changed as it relates to their financial issues?
Yeah, I would just say that, mostly it's around their cash flow. I think they're just concerned if something were to happen, are they putting their money in the right spots? Are they allocating money in the right spots when it comes to retirement? Is it tax efficient? Are they have enough money in savings? So I think fundamentally, really most of my clients, their issues revolve around where is the right spot to allocate their cash flow and how we can give them specific actionable advice on how to do that.
So what are they feeling out there now? Like, what's the climate? A lot of it is they have problems, but how's that showing up? You're seeing a lot of what I would call noise about issues. I mean, there's a lot of scare tactics because it is actually an election year. How are they feeling right now?
I think uncertain would be a really good description about how people feel right now. I think they're not sure where the market's going to go. Obviously being in an election year, regardless of what party is elected into office, there's going to be different economic initiatives. And they're wondering what the market's going to do and what investments they should be in and how they can best be protected. So I think they're just looking for someone they can lean on that can really give them a little bit more comfort in this time that there's a lot of volatility and uncertainty in the markets.
And this has kind of always been that way. It's just been amplified, I think, by the election year and the pandemic. And you write a script. They always hear these things about a script. And I heard a metaphor for medication, and it was a friend of mine that does food as medicine. And he said, imagine having a plant that's dying, right? And the plant is turning brown, and someone showed up and the prescription was a can of green spray paint over the leaves. And they wrote you a script to say, go buy some green spray paint. I think that metaphor is kind of interesting in the financial world. Like, people have brown leaves in their lives. So what would be an example of brown leaves or financial issues that pharmacists are living with right now and have maybe always lived with? What are they?
Yeah, I think it is they're like you said, they're essential workers, and they earn a great income. However, a lot of them need guidance on where are the best places to put their money. I think that's the biggest pain point that they have, is that they have money coming in, but they're not sure if they should allocate this much to college planning if they have kids, how much should be going into which retirement plan and what tax benefits are attached to that. So it's like, I've got this money coming in, I have certain fixed expenses and debts, but what is the best way to do that? What's going to be the optimal strategy? And I think that's where we come in, is we look at the whole situation. We look at their entire cash flow and say, all right, this would help you generate your maximum wealth potential. And we can do that. We can provide that actionable advice without telling them they have to do any additional out-of-pocket outlay. And that's important.
Oh, totally important. It's important for everyone. But the reality of the life, I'm sure, is in pharmacy school is expensive. And these are well-paid people that probably run out and buy a beautiful home. And a lot of time I know a couple of friends of mine, pharmacists, are married to other pharmacists for some reason. It's kind of interesting, like teachers and teachers, I guess. They went to school together. What's the reality of their debt when they got out of school? And what are you seeing with that market with regard to how they handle their debt?
Yeah. So the reality is most of them come out of school with several $100,000 worth of debt. And they, it often is another, it's almost like another mortgage payment for them when you look at managing the liability side of their cash flow. So it's something that they really, count on, professionals and experts, to help give them advice on what is the optimal strategy to pay this debt down. And I think it's always a fine balance. They're always thinking, all right, if I'm putting more money towards paying down my debt, my student loan debt, that means I can't put that money towards retirement. So what is the best balance that I can do to really pay this off quickly, but also be sure that I'm not shortchanging myself so that I don't have enough money when it comes time that when I want to take the longest vacation of my life.
Give me an example of something that they could relate to. You have any case studies or examples of people, so you can kind of put the cook in the kitchen. What are some examples or stories you might have about that?
Yeah. So I had a client, a great couple that came to me, and both good income earners. Unfortunately, they had a son that had just started college. Their daughter she's in junior high, and they came to me with their situation. And what we found is they were allocating all of their money that was coming in was going right out the door just to pay high interest debt, whether it's credit card debt, personal loans. Some of it was student loans, which isn't really high interest debt, but it's still debt. What we were able to do is develop a strategy to take some of that debt and restructure it in a way that we could free up. We were able to free up $2,000 a month in cash flow. And when we did that, we were able to reallocate that money so that they could start saving money for their retirement. And this couple was in their early 40s. So they were able to take that money, and they were able to put money in their Roth IRA. They were able to set up some insurance strategies. They were able to put more money into their qualified plans through work, all by just restructuring the way that they were managing their debt. And again, we did all of these actionable steps without any additional cash, any additional out-of-pocket outlay, which was huge. We didn't change their lifestyle. We weren't asking them to give us more money.
That prescription, I'm sure, is appealing to them, because a lot of people are doing financial behaviors, and they're unknowingly and unnecessarily, in many cases, transferring their wealth to banks and insurance companies and financial institutions in the form of interest and fees and premiums. So you talked about this earlier. It was very interesting to me. So you eliminate those transfers or reduce them. You take that recovery and you help them apply it to decide whether or not they run it against their debt. Because this is found money, right? They run it against their debt, or they put it into their retirement plan, or both.
Yeah, it's an economic phenomenon at the Wharton School of Business. You can look it up anywhere. Lost opportunity cost, right? If I gave you $1, that you never, if you gave me $1 and I never got that back, but I was able to recapture that money. That's money that potentially that can compound over the course of 20 years. That could be, that $20 that I recaptured into your portfolio could be worth a lot more in 20 years.
Talk more about that concept, just from clarity purposes, because that's an important point. That you're telling me that if someone's paying, for example, a premium or being charged a fee, and your modeling can get them to reduce their premium or eliminate or reduce their fee, or you can gain them a greater rate of return, you're literally finding money. And that process, I think you called it lost opportunity costs.
Yeah. I'll explain it this way. Let's say,
give us an example. Yeah.
This is a great way to explain it. Let's say I gave you $20. Mm-hmm. You borrowed $20 from me. Okay. Right. And you said you were going to pay me back this week, but you forgot about it. All right.
Right. Yeah.
And then you decided 5 years later that you were going to pay me back that $20.
Right.
Not only did I lose the $20 that you borrowed from me, but I lost what that $20 could earn over the next 5 years. That's lost opportunity cost. So if I'm able to recapture $1,000 in lost fees from interest on credit cards or any other fees that are happening, that money that's going out the door, not only did you lose that $1,000, but you lost what that $1,000 could earn for you over the next 5 years.
That's an interesting concept, because you're dealing with a high income couple that has medical debt. So the thought of them going out of pocket to spend more money probably makes them want to get sick to their stomach in many cases. Yeah. They're trying to make their lives work. If you can find these overpayments or inefficiencies and transfers, you can create new wealth out of thin air or reduce debt out of thin air.
Yeah, I mean, you're creating it by just saying, all right, there's a way of doing this where we can really we can optimize your wealth potential just by looking at the way you have things currently set up with your cash flow, and do it a more optimal way.
So one of the things I like to do is I like to kind of figure out what questions these pharmacists and medical professionals are asking themselves right now, because one of the purposes of this podcast is to enter that conversation that they're having right now and help them, make them a promise to be part of the solving a problem. So what conversations are they having right now that you can help them with? What questions are they asking themselves?
Well, they're asking specifically, with the uncertainty in the market, where should I be at? What are areas of the market that I should avoid? What are areas of the market do you think that would, if we did have a downturn, would be more defensive? My assets would still be able to grow, but wouldn't be at nearly as high as nearly of a high of a risk. So looking at what are areas of the stock market, whether it be U.S. stocks, small, mid, or large cap, or overseas money or bonds, where should I have my money? And if whether Trump gets reelected or Biden gets elected, how is that going to impact my investment dollars? And then my insurance, how am I set up with my insurance? Are my coverages set up properly? Am I protected? Especially with COVID, a lot of people are coming back and looking at their life insurance coverages and saying, do I have the right amount of protection for my family? Am I set up properly?
I really like the concept of the happy retiree. I think you had a program called the Retire Happy Guide to help pharmacists develop a process that you can prescribe them a medicine, financial medicine, if you will, to help them avoid paying unnecessary expenses in the form of debt and other things like fees, and put that money into good work to help them become what? What are they looking to do? What do they ultimately want out of this whole journey financially?
Well, I think at the end of the day, I think what people want is they want to have enjoyment of their wealth when they're retired and not have to worry about running out of it. I think if you're able to enjoy your wealth and then know that you already have a plan in place, that I'm going to have I can enjoy the money that I've worked so hard to save over the last 30 plus years. And then I also already have a pre-designed plan in place that my family is going to inherit the money on a tax favorable basis. Then I think your clients have a lot of peace of mind and comfort.
That's awesome. I mean, you talked about your process. We don't have enough time to go through it, but I remember the 3 steps. You help them crystallize the vision that they have for their life. Both while they're working and after they're retired. You identify the obstacles, and you said that you give them a plan and a path to make that happen.
Yep.
With your Retire Happy guide is a great way to get started. One last question, Rich. How did you come to start working with pharmacists and other medical professionals?
Well, when I first started as an advisor, it was 2008, and that's when the market we saw a market crash. They called it the Great Recession. Mm-hmm. What I found in my first few years in the business is I worked with a lot of different types of clients. I worked with pharmacists, I worked with construction workers and realtors and different people of all different walks of life. And I just found that I've really enjoyed working with the medical professions and particularly with pharmacists, just because I feel like we connect very well. There's a bond, and we've created a very strong relationship. Not that I don't work with other types of clients. It's just that this particular area is of great significance to me. I also have family that are in that industry, so it carries a special thing in my heart for them. So,
kind of like doctors, they go off to medical school, they get out, and they put them in the ER for a few years to figure out what they want to do with their lives. And you did that with working with a lot of clients and specializing in medical professionals, specifically pharmacists. So if you're a pharmacist and you're confused or you're overwhelmed, or you just don't know who to trust, Rich is definitely a great option. And I'll put a link, Rich, in the notes for this podcast on how to get a copy of the Retire Happy guide for pharmacists, so they can get a prescription for financial wellness and a worry-free life. Yeah. So thanks for joining us today. And this is the Retirement Mentor with Rich Galzarano.
Thank you.
Take care.